The consequence of doing too much. Number one, it's going to take a toll on your physical and mental health. It absolutely is. I try really, really hard when I walk into the office that I leave everything that happened outside the office outside the office. When I walk out of the office, I try to leave everything that happened in the office in the office. But when you're spread so thin, you're not doing anything well. You can try to do everything, but in the end, like I said, you end up being good at nothing. And the thing that is like you suffer because of it. And if you suffer, then the people that you are close to, the people that you're associated with, will suffer also. I can personally attest, and I'm sure that there's a lot of you out there that can attest to it too, that you didn't do a good job. I didn't do a good job at leaving stuff that happened in the office in the office. Welcome to DFW Grit. I'm Dr. James Taylor, and I'm your host, and this is more than just a podcast. We dive into the stories of the movers, the shakers, the small business owners, the entrepreneurs, right here in the DFW Metroplex. This is your home for authentic, real stories that prove what happens when you don't back down. Let's get to work. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Dr. Taylor back at you with another episode of DFW Grit. Today is the first time that I recall, I think I touched on it in some prior episodes, but this wardrobe is intentional. Today, we are talking about the simple fact that you're doing too much. You're doing too much. Doing too much. So it is the end of the first month of 2025. Some of us are cruising along with our resolutions intact, more or less. Some of us have started, stopped, and started again. Why have we started, stopped, and started again? I'll tell you right now, a good chunk of it is because you're doing too much. So today I've got 6 points for you on how to stop doing too much. So wardrobe is intentional. This outline that I've got here is unintentional, but it fits right into this that you're doing too much. I forgot my fancy note-taking thing. So I had to print out the outline like a freaking animal. So you're doing too much. A simple observation. I just got done playing co-host in the most minuscule of senses to an 8-year-old's birthday party. I say in the most minuscule of senses because I fulfilled the stereotypical role of husband, i.e. gopher. Go get this, go get this, go get this. Did it with a smile on my face. Had no qualms about it whatsoever because I knew my role in this instance. The party was planned by the mother of the daughter, aka my wife, aka the amazing Tamika Taylor. And she said to me at one point, as we're going through these things in the week leading up to it, chatting back and forth via Messenger, she goes, "Hey, am I doing too much?" Yeah, I kind of think so. And we have the luxury in that we have raised 2 fantastic kids who require so very little to be happy. And it's like, we're getting the party ready. Should I do this? Should I do this? Should we get this? I mean, hell, my 8-year-old, Frankie with the good hair, aka the Airs, made a list. She gave us the itinerary. We're trying to add stuff to it. Am I doing too much? And I had to actually like tell Tamika, like, I think you are, because Frankie requires so very little to be happy. And I take that and I put that into just my life in general. And we are all guilty of this in doing too much. We take being busy as a medal of honor, as a badge of honor, as a sense of pride. I'm so busy. I've got all this stuff that I'm doing. But do I need to? Do you need to? Do we need to be doing all this stuff? So it's what is being busy stopping you from doing? So we've been told the line that we need to do everything in order to be a success. But in all reality, it's burning us out. It really is. And again, this is part of the whole growth of myself, the growth of the podcast, the growth of my business. It is a daily struggle on my end to figure out, what do I personally, James Taylor, what do I not need to be doing? What are things that I am, whether it's designing marketing pieces or emails or stuffing envelopes? I feel I feel bad saying this, but I feel right saying this. Like, I'm the guy. I'm the face of Aspire Chiropractic. I'm the face of DFW Grit. Do I need to stuff envelopes? There's certain honor in it. Absolutely. I'm doing this thing because we've all had the boss that tells us to do something that they've never done before. And you can easily tell when they've never done that thing. But also at the same time, is my time better spent not doing some of these things? And it's weird to feel bad saying the answer is yes. I shouldn't be doing this. This is why I have employees. This is why I have people. This is why I have assistants so they can do these things. It's a delegation of tasks. But it's a funny balancing act as you're trying to scale anything, whether it be a business, as you're trying to scale parts of your life. But if I'm doing the small things, and I say the word small just because it flew out of my mouth, I don't know if it's necessarily small because it needs to be done, but that's the thing, it needs to be done. So the reality of overcommitment, we've got this pressure on us to meet certain social strata, if you will, certain things that we're supposed to be done. And we get validation, and I say we, and I certainly mean I get validation from accomplishing things. I want you to notice everything that I've done. I want you to see all that I have created. I put in the elbow grease. I've worked my fingers to the bone in a sense. But while I'm doing these things, and again, I'll use the word small, I might even use the word mundane, is that something that as a leader, I should be doing? So like, that feeling, when you've got a lot of irons in the fire, you're spinning lots of plates, if you will, and then one falls, or you grab a hot iron out of the fire and you burn your hand, but then for some dumb reason, you go grab the other iron that is equally as hot and you burn your hand, or all these plates are falling. So it's a recipe for mediocrity, and in no way, shape, or form will doing all the things lead you to a point of mastery. We all have that voice in our head saying, if I don't do it, it won't get done. But being busy is not the same as being productive. And it's an interesting balancing act that we have to play. So point number 3 here, the consequence of doing too much. Number 1, it's going to take a toll on your physical and mental health. It absolutely is. I try really, really hard when I walk into the office that I leave everything that happened outside the office outside the office. When I walk out of the office, I try to leave everything that happened in the office in the office. But when you're spread so thin, you're not doing anything well. You can try to do everything, but in the end, like I said, you end up being good at nothing. And the thing that is, like, you suffer because of it. And if you suffer, then the people that you are close to, the people that you're associated with, will suffer also. I can personally attest, and I'm sure that there's a lot of you out there that can attest to it too, that you didn't do a good job. I didn't do a good job at leaving stuff that happened in the office in the office. And for me personally, I've noticed that rears its ugly head around bedtime. Not my bedtime, but the kids' bedtime, or dinner time, even if they're taking too long to eat. And I get frustrated because of it. If they're taking too long to get ready for bed, and I get frustrated because of it. But am I frustrated that they're kind of screwing around? Yeah, absolutely. But also, they're kids. They're supposed to screw around. There's a quote once, or a meme, or something that was, when you invite your kids or when they ask to take part in something, it takes longer. But also, maybe it's supposed to. Maybe it's supposed to take longer, because when it takes longer, that's more time that you're spending with your kids. That's more time that you're spending with your spouse, if your spouse makes a certain activity or something take longer. But maybe that kind of stuff is supposed to happen. But again, if you only present yourself to your family and your friends with the depleted energy that you have, you're just giving them the leftovers. And I don't think that that is any way, shape, or form a recipe for success for the relationships that one you try to hold outside of the tasks that you hold so highly, that you put up on the pedestal. But also, it is in no way, shape, or form a relationship or a recipe for healthy relationships. If you're only, I mean, hell, it's the personification of Facebook in that everybody on those comment threads has something negative to say. And if there's anything that gets me off Facebook faster, it's reading negative comments on on stuff that doesn't even matter to me. And again, I am equally as guilty in this as anybody else. A perfect example, I put a comment on a chiropractic Facebook group the other day. Hey, I'm looking for a nice mat to like a fatigue mat or a standing mat to put near my adjusting tables to adjust somebody's standing activity. And somebody commented on there, have you tried getting a nice rug and some orthotics? And my comment was, hey, that wasn't in any way, shape, or form a proper answer given the context of the question, but I am happy you got to contribute. So I put a little icing on the end. I'm happy he got to contribute. But again, that was dumb. But also, it got me off Facebook right away. So there's a previous episode with Jara Hutchins, wonderfully brilliant. And she had said something, if you're not setting boundaries, you're just handing other people permission to waste your time. And that is incredibly true. And part of these boundaries are boundaries for yourself. In that, where are you doing too much? Where are you doing these quote unquote little things? These, I wish I had better words for them because it makes them sound bad. These little things, these lesser things that as a person who's, like, let's say a figurehead, who's the face, that you shouldn't necessarily be doing. And again, the reason I'm having issue with these words that I'm using is because I feel like it demeans the people that I'm putting these tasks on. And that certainly isn't the case, but I mean, these things certainly need to get done. So, how do you recognize if you're doing too much? Just quick self check prompts. Do you feel like your to do list is never ending? If your to do list is never ending, you're doing too much. Do you find yourself resenting tasks you once enjoyed? I used to like to do this. Why don't I like to do it anymore? Maybe because you're doing too much. When's the last time you truly unplugged without guilt? 2 weeks ago, we had an office event. Every 3 weeks, we meet up for pickleball, and we invite all of our patients stuff to come and join us and play pickleball. Here in Texas, it was really cold. Normally, we play over at some outdoor courts. It was really cold, so my office manager, Juliet, she reserved some courts at this place called Chicken and Pickle. And we went there, and it's a wonderful establishment. It's huge. There's indoor courts, there's outdoor courts, there's seating areas, there's other games and stuff for you to do, like not life size Battleship, but like big Battleship, cornhole. There's stuff to do outside. There's wonderful seating areas. But again, we were inside, and they've got a full restaurant and drinks and bar and stuff like this, which I abstained from because I am partaking in dry January, and I'm doing a damn fine job. So we got done playing pickleball. We were there for an hour. We rotated courts. We had a court for the kids. Everyone had a great time. It was, there was great conversation and interaction. We took the standard group picture at the end of it, and we got done. And my wife and my kids, and we went like, hey, let's go grab lunch. And we went to this. It's like cheeseburgers and beer. So it's a great name, cheeseburger and beer. And we went there, and they had hot dogs on the menu. I'm like, you know what? I'm getting a chili dog. And we sat there, and it was a wonderful little lunch opportunity. Kids were coloring, and they had it's like shenanigans, all the goofy shit on the wall. So we had a great dinner, a great lunch, and then after that, we're driving home, and there's this arcade that opened up, and we're like, let's stop at the arcade. This was a Saturday afternoon, and they had this bank of computers. They had the old Mac computers with the black screen with the green type. Tamika sat down. She played Oregon Trail for a bit. They had old tube televisions, like 32-inch tube TVs, and they had Atari, and they had Nintendo, and they had Super Nintendo. And I played Donkey Kong Country for 45 minutes, and it was great. And it was like I was at Kyle Larricky's house in Sauk Rapids, Minnesota back again. And then after that, like, hey, you guys want to go to DQ? Hell yeah, let's go to DQ. And we got a Blizzard. And my go-to Blizzards are one of two. It's either cookie dough and Oreo or cookie dough and Snickers. And I got a cookie dough and Oreo Blizzard. So I went and played ball with my friends. And then I had a hot dog or a chili dog. And then I went and played video games. And I'm driving home and I'm eating ice cream. And I turned to my wife and I was like, this is my 15-year-old dream day. And it was perfect. And I unplugged from everything. And oddly enough, as I'm sitting down to write this episode, before I did this, we were watching Bluey with the kids. And the episode was called Relax. And they were going on a family vacation, or since it's Australian, they're going on a holiday. And they get to the hotel, and Bluey's mom, Chili, she's like, hey, I'm going to go down and read a book at the beach. And then she ends up coming back in the door, and his dad, Bandit, her dad, Bandit, and Bluey's a dude in my head. She's like, I can't. He's like, what are you doing back? She's like, I can't relax. And it was an interesting juxtaposition to watch that episode, having just lived my best 15-year-old day ever. So like unplug, relax. It might be difficult if you're not used to it. I'd said something in a past episode. If you can't remember the last time you said no, you're doing too much. Because I've been there myself. I've talked to other past episodes. If you're doing everything, my attempt to do everything well, specifically last year, not even do everything well, but just to do everything, that made last year difficult. That made last year a high tuition year. So here's some solutions to do less so you can do more. Number one, you got to prioritize your stuff. You got to know beyond a shadow of a doubt, not everything needs your energy. Identify what actually moves your needle. Do those things. The things that don't move your needle, you got to delegate those. When I let go of tasks that didn't matter, I realized the things I did that actually made me thrive. Like I said, you've got to delegate. You got to stop being the hero in every situation. Evan Cutts said something once in a past episode about running the gyms. You need, and this is hard, it's hard for me too, you need to trust other people that they're going to do the right thing at the right time. And if they don't, then you need to train them to do it. You need to take the time to train them about your standards and your expectations. Because if they don't know your standards and your expectations, then they surely won't be met. Because if something is left unsaid, you are setting yourself up for resentment. Set boundaries, learn to say no and mean it, and don't apologize. I used to let too much slide in my office. I say used to because that was a quote that I found for myself, but I did it again. Going back to the delegation of tasks, I delegated the task of stuffing some envelopes for the office for our quarterly mailer. We had 300 things going out. I said, here you go, get them done. And they had 6 hours to do them. They had 6 hours between three of them to stuff 300 envelopes, 100 envelopes per person over 6 hours. And as I sit here recording this episode, it's not done. It's not done. One person times 3 somehow managed to not be able to stuff 100 envelopes over a course of 6 hours. But I didn't check on the progress. I gave them a deadline. They didn't meet it, but I didn't check on the progress. I didn't see what their plan was, how they were doing it. And what I think happened is they did this thing, then they did this thing, then they did this thing instead of divvying up the task and splitting it up. But again, I didn't check on it. You need to focus on mastery. Doing fewer things really well is the cheat code to success. According to ChatGPT, I said that in a previous episode. If you're trying to be everything to everyone, you'll end up being nothing to no one. So here are a couple closing thoughts. What I want you to do. Number one, this week, I want you to cross one necessary thing off your to-do list. Or better yet, if you can delegate it, take one thing from your to-do list and ask somebody else to do it. Now, if you're having struggles with this, because clearly I'm sharing my struggles with it also, shoot me a DM. We can chat about it. We absolutely can. I don't know if this is a good thing or not, or if it's a recipe for disaster. But hey, if you need help, let me know. If you need someone to vent to or someone's other point of view, let me know. Slide into my DMs. I'll see what I can help you. So remember, you're not doing anyone a favor by burning yourself out. You're not doing your family a favor. You're not doing your business a favor. And you're definitely not doing yourself a favor if you're doing all the things. Because there's a real good chance that you're doing too much. Like I said a couple episodes ago, to start this year off, Don't add things to your resolutions. Look at all the stuff that you were doing and cross some of those things off the list. And I think that will result in you actually getting more done, because I've seen it work for me personally. So, as always, like, share, follow. I strongly believe that you will learn more here by accident than elsewhere by design. And it's because of the effort, energy that I put into myself to share it with you. So I hope that's the case. I really do. Tell your friends about this. I really think that this episode is going to save you a couple hours this week if you can actually lean into the stuff we talked about. But all that being said, you guys have a great rest of your week. Thanks for tuning in again. Got any questions? Like I said, slide into my DMs. You want to be interviewed? You want to be on the episode? We are currently taking guest applications. But until the next time, you guys have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week. You will learn more here by accident than elsewhere by design. Prior to this episode, you were either ignorant or you were uninformed. And I can tell you right now, especially after listening to this, you are at the very least no longer uninformed. On another episode here of DFW Grit. You guys have a great rest of your day. I will see you again shortly. Bye.